Hello. Hello. Okay. So my name is Angelique. Welcome to Visualization Spaces, aka VZ Spaces. This conversation series with my brother Raymell is called Healing Conversations, and I am just getting set up here. He should be here soon and very soon. And today we are going to be chatting about things that we're healing through. Let that be where it is. And he is on his way. So we will be meeting with him soon. Okay. Getting things together, getting the angles together, a little BTS behind the scenes here, and really grateful for this opportunity to chat with you all, to get us centered. But yes, this is a space called Healing Conversations. My brother friend Raymell and I have been holding this space on Instagram for uh, since March of this year, March of 2024. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be in this space, to hold this space, to have this space for myself. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, in the meantime, between time, we are going to wait for him to get here. And as he gets here, when he arrives, I will be covering the camera and muting the mic so that we can little deep brief action and know what we're going to be talking about today, because we come into these conversations openly, fresh mind, fresh heart, just whatever is present for us in the moment. So we like to kind of chat with each other, catch up a little bit. Okay. Chat with each other, catch up a little bit, see what's been going on. Because we found things that are resonating with us, things that we're working through, other people happen to also be working on or healing through. So we like to keep it fresh, keep it present. You feel me? And yeah, that is kind of how the process goes. The live streaming on YouTube is a new thing, and I'm doing this so that people can get clips of it, pause and play at their leisure. I know that with the Instagram live, scrolling through or seeking through the timeline can be a little challenging, and you can't really pause it. So I wanted to hold space for the replays. You feel me? And there are a few that I still have to upload onto this channel, and I do plan to make clips and things, but one thing at a time. I think Brother Emil is walking down here. Yes, I see his little bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute this and cover this, and we'll see you soon. Let's go, we're live.
Hello, IG family. Happy
Happy
Saturday.
Saturday.
Welcome to Healing Conversations. IG, let the tribe know. We mentioned them. They're in the building. Come on in. Hey, Brooke
Yes.
Taylor. Welcome.
We got some
Hey,
controversial to talk about.
Temple Little.
Mom
Sable Hughes.
Templated.
Hello,
Hey,
Helen.
Helen.
Welcome. Happy Saturday, y'all. Welcome to
Yes.
Healing Conversations. Come on in. Let the people say hey to Sanctuary.
Hey. Some of you, hey,
Hey,
Nicole.
Sister Nicole.
If you are not sure who I am because you are from Brother Raymell's page, my name is Angelique. I'm a spiritual coach, he's mental wellness advocate, an author. My book, Days of Darkness, is coming out sooner, very soon. And I am co-hosting this beautiful conversation space with Brother Raymell. And it is a blessing for myself. I'm so grateful for.
Hello, Aisha.
Hello. Thank you. Yes, this red shirt is
Thank you,
popping.
Helen. What's
Hi,
going on,
Nora.
Nora? Welcome.
But the space has been such a blessing. We've been holding it down since March. So it's
Has it been
been,
that long? Oh my
yes, it's
goodness.
been a season. You feel me? And it has helped me expand my awareness, my love for myself, and just allow me to break through layers of things that I don't even know were there. But that's the point of having conversations and safe spaces. It allows us to pull things up and have them out front without being afraid of them
Yes.
because we're held in a safe space of love. So, yes.
Yeah, so y'all, today we are going to talk about something that we were saying before we got on, like controversial. And I just want to say before we get into the conversation that we're just sharing our perception of what it is that we've gathered as far as a knowing. We're open to others' perceptions about what we're going to be talking about because in the space of healing conversation, we talk all things expansion, all things grow, and that's how we heal individually, and we support the collective healing because it becomes a ripple effect. So we're open for others to share, whether it's in the comments, whether you come onto the live virtual stage, and really share what your perception is about what we're going to be talking about because that's really, like I said, how we learn, and we're open for it. So today we're going to be
Take what resonates and
and
leave
leave
what
what doesn't.
doesn't.
Exactly. So we're just going to jump in the pool and get into it. So today we are going to talk about, oh my God, I don't even know why it's like fair saying it.
Because it's
Because it's
controversial.
controversial and I know it's going to stir a lot of up, but let's just start
Yeah.
it. So today, wait, no, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and also, so today we're gonna be talking about like perception of God and our relationship to God. And I know a lot of us were raised in religion. I was personally raised Catholic, and the idea of saying, I am God, I'm one with God, is like blasphemy. Like, don't say that. You're going to hell. You can't do that. We're going to excommunicate you, right? Like, only Jesus is God. We have to worship that person, or we have to, actually, as a Catholic, you have to ask Mary to ask Jesus to ask God. So it's like this whole chain of command going on. But as I have gone through my expansion, I have really tuned into and felt the most love and peace and just groundedness, knowing in my beingness, in my soul, that I am created in the image and likeness of God, which is in the Bible. And that also means that I am one with God, that God and I are the one and the same. And that's the same for Raymell. I saw a video today, Sumi, she might pop on later, but she posted a video saying how we are all the people that we see. Every experience that is happening in the world is really just this one experience that is happening. And we are living this life to grow and expand and to mature. And I love that. And I truly have embraced that and I believe that. Um, and that has given me, again, just so much more peace and like a deeper appreciation for other people's lives, for my own life. And as somebody who was suicidal, who was deeply depressed, having that peace and that joy of life is something that is so precious to me.
Mm,
And even beyond that, when I was growing up in the church, I literally was going to church like 2 times a week because I went for school and I went for myself with my mama. And from preschool to 12th grade, like my whole adolescent life. And those were some of the most challenging years that I had. You know, my early 20s, I did step away from the whole idea of like God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It was very like agnostic, borderline atheist, definitely nihilistic. Um, and that was dark. That was the darkest part. That's what you hear about in the book. But while I was in high school and grade school, I was challenged with these thoughts. And the religion didn't really bring me comfort. This
mm,
idea that God was out here and I just had to like be here alone in my human experience and, you know, like just pray and hope something good happens, that did not feed my soul as much as knowing that I am one with God. God is present with me. God is omnipresent, omniactive, omniscient. If God is everywhere, then why is God not? See, I'm not gonna go on the whole tangent. We're still warming up the pool. You feel me? But Brother Raymell handed it to me. But I wanted to say that fear that's coming up is because we have these conditionings. We
mhm,
have these paradigms, we have these beliefs that people have drilled into us, probably very aggressively. You feel me? The
mhm.
church don't be playing with y'all, right? And when we talk about this expansion that we've had, this love that we found, this joy, this peace, this aha enlightenment, it's like so good, and we don't want it to be disrupted by talking about religion and having somebody try to like shut that down. You know, we get into like a protective defensive mode.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to tap on why some of that hesitation might be coming up. And if
Mhm.
you are in the comments and you are resonating with that, know that this is a safe space. Again, we are not judging anybody for their beliefs. We are open to all perceptions and ideas. And if you want to share, please share. And if you are somebody who has traditionally been religious, um, by all means, if you're having some other thoughts, this is a space where we are not trying to
Yeah.
like come for you under the rug. You feel me? But yes,
We're
go
open.
ahead.
Thank you for that. Yeah, you definitely opened it up so amazing. And I love that relationship over religion. And really what's coming up for me is I love that you spoke to the omnipotent, the omnipresence, that everywhere is God and God is in everyone. And what I really visualize when I think of it is you think of an ocean and you think of a wave that emerges from the ocean. And then it turns into a wave and then it goes back to its natural state and form, which is the ocean. I think of that when I think of that presence called God. I think of this omnipresence that's everywhere and everyone and everything that exists, from a insect to a tree to a chair to a car to an animal to a human.
Yeah.
And being that everything is an extension of that presence, being that everything is one with that presence, everything is that presence. So when I say that I am God in human form, I don't speak it in the language of I hold power or more power over anyone or anything, but I speak it in the sense of I am one with each and every one of you that's watching this live, that will watch this replay, that are just existing in this universe. And when I see it through the lens of that, I'm able to see, hold space for compassion, hold space for love, hold space for understanding, and not close myself off to project who I think I'm not or who I think you're not, and have that division. Because I feel like when we're in that space of separation, of projection, it doesn't do us justice, because we are trying to right wrong, good or bad. In reality, there is no right, there is no wrong when it comes to someone's perception because it's what you're perceiving this experience to be. And for me, I teach this often in my content and my courses and my classes. I teach others that you are powerful. You're an infinite, limitless, timeless, abundant being. And the only way that we can truly be that is if we're connected to that.
Mm.
And a lot of times, I know in certain realms of teachings and practices, they teach that you are the son of God, you are the daughter of God, but you are not a God, which didn't, it wouldn't, and I think that's where the confusion comes from me. And when I say I'm in this space right now because I'm open to gain further understanding from others who have different perceptions, because that's how we learn from each other, we expand with each other, and we're not separate from each other. But when someone says that, or they teach you that you are the son of God, the daughter of God, but you're not a God, that doesn't really add up to me. Because if my mother and father came together to create me or hold the portal for me to be created in this world, that's saying that I'm not related to them. I'm not connected to them. So I'm separate from them. And in that realm, that just doesn't add up to me. So that's where, with the understanding that I have of this presence, being that it's everywhere and everyone and everything, then that means that I am. So I just want to leave it there. Y'all over here in these comments. I knew this was gonna activate. I knew it was. That's the point. One thing Nora says, that's the point. One thing is my own spirituality, and the other is religion. The institution didn't fit right to me. Working with fear and punishment was something that I had in my life, anyways. Exactly. Girls Poetry says, God came to me in my tough days on my transformative journey. I love that. Nora says, so it didn't feel as a place that I can go to if I'm afraid. I was told that God would love me, but it felt conditionally. Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And I grew up in a season, I don't know if it was the season of the church or if it just happened to be the churches that I went to. But I didn't get like the nuns smacking me with rulers and the hell fire and the brimstone and all of those things. I was taught like God is love and God loves you and Jesus loves you. And to Nora's point, it did, and they would tell me it's like this great love, this unconditional love. But occasionally it did feel conditional. It did feel like I had to be on my best behavior for Santa Claus so I can get the gifts. You feel me?
mm,
And, when I did, because Catholics believe in confession, when I did do something that was not, my good girlness, I can go confess and God would forgive me, right? But it was just like always this cycle of, am I doing this right? Should I confess this? Is this like so bad that I need to confess it? Or is it okay? Like, there was just so many questions. It didn't feel like an all encompassing love. It felt, again, it felt very conditional. Um, and also with like praying and things of that nature, I love going to Agape with Reverend Michael Beckwith because his foundation of prayer is about
affirming.
yeah, it's about affirming, and it's not about beseeching is the word that he uses. It's not about begging God to do something for you. It's allowing yourself to know that everything is already accessible. Everything is already here. God already, God doesn't withhold from itself. Source
Mm-mm.
does not keep anything back from itself. It is the source of everything. So why am I asking it to bring something to me? The only thing that I am being blocked by is my own humanness. And
Mm.
so it's asking me in prayer, I'm asking myself really to affirm that I know that everything I need, everything I want, everything that I desire is already available to me.
It's already done. All of
And
my needs are
and
met.
it's already done. And just Pause. Pause. And it's just asking me to release these layers of humanness that I have built up
Mm.
through the different conditionings and through the different ideas that, again, like I have to perform for God, I have to beg God, I have to plead to God, I have to bleed for God. You know, I have to be on my knees and crawl up the mountain to the chapel and pray for 40 days and 40 nights so something can happen. You know, put myself through all this suffering and all this pain just so God can feed me
Mm.
or provide for my family or bring me a good partner, you know, and it's and from my perspective, from my belief, all of this idea of suffering is something that human beings have put into place to keep people preoccupied, to control them into the hierarchy of humanity.
Mm.
And I've recognized in myself as I have stepped away from that, I respect people and I love people. Um, and at the same time, I'm not waiting at somebody's feet anymore. I'm not like afraid of other human beings, you know. I have much more openness to communicating with people because I don't have this fear of like, ooh, if I I'm not going to talk about a situation I had recently because it's a private conversation, but I'm not so concerned with like making sure everything's like copacetic with people in higher positions than me or like staff or politicians or whatever. I'm just like, we're all having an experience. And after, like I said, this video I saw with Sumi, like, you're also a part of my experience. I'm also your experience. So there's no reason for me to be afraid of you or to like bow down to you or like, you know, suck up to you to get something because if this other individual isn't the vessel that's supposed to bring me what I want, then that's okay.
Mhm.
Then it just isn't. And if they are, then there's nothing that can stop that because it's just like divine order, you know?
Mhm.
And so yeah, let me.
Girls Poetry says we have the power ourselves and just be open for good stuff to flow in. Exactly.
Mhm.
And what I really want to speak to is because I feel like even that word God has been put in a box
Mhm.
and limited to only religion.
Mhm.
So a lot of times when people hear that word, it triggers them because they think of a religious practice, they think of a religion teachings or limitation or conditionalness of what that religion will accept and won't accept.
Mhm.
And I know for me growing up, y'all, like I felt so disconnected from that source, that presence of God because of what it was taught through the practice of religion is that who I am is wrong because of what this teaching says. And I
Mhm.
just want to speak to this because I know there's a lot of people in the realm of like their sexual preference that they think that because I was born this way, that I am now a sinner or outside of the norm of what people should or shouldn't be. And it
Mhm.
was taught to me at an early age that you're going to hell
Mhm.
because of who you like or because of who you are going to hell. God condemns you. God does not love you. You are going to hell. And it would just I would hear that, but I'm like would question it. I'm like, well, just as I am born of dark skin, African American, I didn't choose that. That's what I was born into. So what makes that any different than the sexual preference that I was born into?
Mhm.
And I was never really it wouldn't I didn't have an understanding to what made me this evil person because of that versus I still have a heart. I still am kind. I'm still understanding. So what is the separation because of that part of me?
Mhm.
makes me not now holier than who isn't that. So I feel like even that puts it this superior role of if you're straight, then you're more than. If you're gay, then you're less than. If you're rich, then you're more than. If you're poor, then you're less than. And it creates that division of more or less. And God is everywhere and everyone. So how am I any less of a God than someone else? Why do I have to beg and ask God and repent for my sins?
Pray the gay away.
Because and this is I want to just disclaim no jabs at religion, but it's just my experience of those teachings that it caused a lot of trauma for me. And I feel like we don't talk about the trauma when it comes to those organizations. We don't talk about the trauma that we endure because of family, relatives, people we knew or grew up with who were so locked into it that that's all they knew, that's all they spoke of. But if you really get to it and we're speaking truth in the healing conversation, that's not how they lived. They would condemn you, right or wrong you, rebuke you because of a scripture that they read to you, but they're living opposite than what they're trying to speak down to you of. So it would be confusing of me, like, well, you're fornicating, you're not living this righteous life, but when it comes to me, you're this and no and I would think, well, and it says in the Bible, no sin is greater than the next. So if I'm sinning for being me and you're choosing to take the action that you're taking, what is the difference? What is
the plank in your eye?
So that would just like confuse me, and I'm just like, this feels so liberating speaking this in front of you all because deep in within there would be that kind of resistance to if I spoke of this, knowing that this is a touchy topic, that it creates the bicker back and forth. And I, like I said, to my understanding, this is what I know. I don't even believe it. It's what I know. But I think, and that's the difference between when someone believes something, they don't quite know it. So they're fighting to gain understanding through their projection of what they believe, just so they can see, okay, it sticks. So now I know it's true. Or they believe it because someone else taught them that, and that is what they're stuck in. So they believe it, they're living it, so it must be true. But when you know, you don't have to project, you don't have to to fight. You just be what you know, and that's just how you embody the essence of who you are. And even how Sister Angelique was sharing in her live yesterday, and how she can speak to what she wants, but how she discovered through a reading that like there is a higher frequency than love and gratitude, and love is what I have known to be the highest frequency. And when I was listening to a podcast by one of my mentors, Michael A. Singer, and he was speaking in regards to when you release, and in the Bible, Jesus says one must die to be reborn. And once you release attachment to this self that you know, that has this character, that has the race, that has the gender, that has the lack and limitations, you then can become your true authentic self, which is source, God in human form. So I see it, and I was like, no coincidence she shared that in her live, and I heard that yesterday, because that's the highest expression of ourselves, is when we're in that embodiment of source, of God. We're living of love. We're living of understanding. We're living of kindness. We're living of abundance. It's not we're trying to be it. Or so not try. We're being it. We're not trying to do it. We're just being it. So I'll end it there because Yanni's comments going in.
Nora says, I was told that he would love me, but if I don't pray the right way, awful things will happen. I was lucky enough to be brought up with a very liberal fam, what isn't common in my culture.
Wow.
So I looked into other ways of believing slash religion and found Buddhism for me. You can be whoever you are, but reflect on what you do and send out into the world. Yes. And I wanted to tap onto that real fast because um, it's so important. Like accountability is essential, right? And the way that religion goes about it is through the fear, through the repression and the judgment. But when you are a conscious person and you are taking accountability and you are aware that you are one with everything, the idea to harm someone or to scheme somebody or to put bad out into the world does not make sense.
Mhm.
Because why would I do that to myself? Why would I, as God, why would I harm myself? Why would I harm myself through a tree or an insect or another person or anything? Like it doesn't add up. And I think a lot of the societal fear around human beings embracing their godness
Mm.
is, aside from the control stuff, is that people may have the perception that if people believe they are God and know they are God and are being God, that oh, people are just gonna start acting all wily and smiting people and like trying to jump off of buildings because gravity doesn't exist and all these heinous things. And I'm laughing because that's ridiculous. When you really have a true understanding, it really is like Nora was saying, what are you putting out into the world? What is the creation? You are the divine creator. What is it that you are creating?
Mm.
So yeah, I just want to tap on that real fast.
Girls'
Girls
poetry
poetry. Yeah.
says, I see myself as always changing and evolving, and I think growth comes when we have deeper understanding on different topics. Exactly.
Hmm.
Aaron says, limited beliefs die shed to become whole.
Yes.
Yes,
And that's what I
yes.
was gonna talk about because he had mentioned how Michael, a singer, was saying that you just become. Once you release all of these ideas, you just become. There is just the am. There is no
Mhm.
more I. It's just am. It just is.
That just sounds powerful when you say it. There is no more
Hmm.
I, there just am. Because we know I am. Release the I and you just are. Wow.
It
I
just
just wanted to
am.
reiterate that.
This, write it down, y'all.
Yes.
But it brought up a sermon that I heard by Reverend Ike. And if you don't know who Reverend Ike is, I highly recommend that you go look into him. Powerful, powerful speaker, preacher, just person of awareness,
Teacher.
teacher, guide, incredible awareness. And one of his sermons that I play pretty frequently is how he talks about the story of Jesus dying on the cross and how it says the old man must die so that the new man can come to life, right? It's this idea of like your old, like you're not even old, the present belief of yourself, these negative thoughts that you're telling yourself, these ideas that you have to, again, grovel on your knees or pay respects and homage to this hierarchy. Like all of these things are not for you or not meant for you. And, it's just, I just have to be lowly and humble and nothing. I can't be rich because
Mhm.
um, all of that has to die. And when it does die, then you step into the amness. You step into the I am, or the am prosperity. I am like, and I only, my language is, this is a new thing for me. So I'm just
Me
like,
too. That's what I'm like. So how do I emerge for I and I
yeah.
just am?
So it just is prosperity. My beingness is prosperity. My beingness is abundance. My beingness is
My
love.
beingness.
It just is,
Mhm.
because that cannot fully exist. It cannot fully be if that old way of being, if this present thing that I'm wearing right now doesn't get shed. Like I think it was Aaron had said,
Mhm.
that has to go. It's just like you can't be angry and feel loving at the same time. Like those energies cannot commingle, right? It's like you can't mix water and oil. Like they are two individual things, and it's not even that they're separate. Again, we're all in this oneness. They are just two individual emergences, and they have their qualities that they are bringing forth. So if the quality that you're bringing forth is poverty or lack, then that is your beingness.
Mhm.
And if you want your beingness to be abundance and love and prosperity and, peace, then that has to be your beingness. It can't be both at the same time. But yes, let's see here.
What was that?
Please have to come home.
What was that?
Neon Babe says, I feel like working too much as I have been doing hasn't haven't given me the time to work myself. I will check out your vids. Yes, Raymell has incredible things that he shares. They will support you on that journey for sure. Aaron says, we are God experiencing self through our human experience. Our human form is fragile. If people knew they were God, ego would be take over for many.
And that is so true, Aaron. And I think that's why Sister Angelique was saying that if people knew the God that they were, they would take it to the extreme because it is a supernatural presence that lives within us. It's an omnipresence. So people would allow their ego because of what they think the superiorness of God is, because of teachings and beliefs, that they would allow it to be what they use to control, to condemn, to organize different separations of packs and groups to keep this empowerment um, energy alive because God is powerful, but it's the love, the understanding, the kindness, the oneness that makes that power truly be. Because in the separation, it's not as strong. If you take two or three bricks and put them together, they have a little strength. But when you take a pile of bricks and add piles of bricks, now it has more ability to create buildings, to create just infinite things. So there's no limit. So that is the beauty of when we come together in the oneness, because we are one. It's not even about coming together, it's about remembering that you are not separate from anyone or anything. And that's the beauty of having awareness, but also choosing to die so you can be born to the truth of self. And I think even too, when someone thinks of themselves as that, it comes with responsibility. Because once you know who you are, now you have the choice to act according to the power for being that you are, or to stay in that space of being disempowered because you don't want to accept that truth of who you are. So it does come with a lot of responsibility as I have shed parts, like shed layers and layers and layers of myself. I see where I'm being led to. Me, 2018, 2017, 2016 was not teaching, preaching, or talking any of this language that I speak now. 2019 is when I started the self development journey. 2020 is when I got baptized. And I didn't do it for a religious purpose. I did it because I wanted to die to come into the form or come back to life to the form of who I am. And I just speak of that too. Like that was not just I went under the water and everything just magically changed. No, there's still work that needs to be done. There's still practices that you have to do to stay connected to the truth of who you are because of the conditioning of limitations and separation that was instilled within me and through the experiences that I had. There was so much of this identity that I was attached to that I knew that I was being called to explore more than what I was allowing myself to receive in the time that I was in the numbing phase of my journey. And even deep down, if I'm being honest, there's always been this deep knowing in me that Raymell, you're meant to do great things. And how you're trying to do them, it isn't in alignment with what you're being called to do with them. And I got lost in the vanity of my looks, if I'm being truthful. This is telling conversation. I don't think I've ever spoke of this, but I got lost in the vanity of my looks. I got lost in the vanity of what came with it, the access I got to things based on the physicalness of this vessel. That I won't say that I've ever been mean or tried to hurt people deliberately.
Mm.
But the unfortunate thing is, when you haven't done any healing work, you unconsciously do that because you're hurting. You can mask it and act like you got it all together and all things are just peaches and cream. But in reality, you're holding on to a lot of unworthiness, a lot of abandonment, a lot of rejection that's keeping you disconnected from the presence of who you are. Because who am I to think that I'm God when I still don't feel enough? Who am I to believe that I'm God when I still feel abandoned by people and things in life?
Mm.
So it was hard for me in the times of me not being on this journey of healing
Mhm.
to even resonate with those words because I internally was having my own battles.
Mm.
I was battling with my sexual preference. I was battling with my upbringing. I was battling through my experiences that I had. So there was so much that I was holding on to
Mm.
that for me to hear anything at that time, it would have went through one ear and came out the other. And I would have looked at you like you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, who are you to tell me no? Do you not know what I've been through? Do you not know who what my life is looking like? Would have been my fight against those words.
Mm.
And there was, like I said, this deep knowing within me that knew that Raymell, this isn't who you are.
Mhm.
And at that time, I didn't even know the next step to take to discover who I was. But the beauty is when you're internally ready, life will bring a physical being in your journey to guide you to the next step.
Mm.
And it came through different clients, through different friends, just different people that I didn't even ask. I didn't have to search. I didn't have to go Google a seminar, Google an event. I
Mm.
literally just had to be open, available, and present
Mhm.
to see the gift that was right in my face. And that opened me up because it took me not only just seeing it, but I have to say yes to it.
Mm.
And then once I said yes, I had to stay in action with doing the work because this work of dying, shedding, releasing is not easy because you literally are killing yourself.
Mm.
You're dying inside out. And it's like, well, who am I now? For
Mm.
so many years of my life, I knew myself to be this. For so many years of my life, this is all I knew of. So now, what you want me to let all of this go so I can discover who I can be?
Mm.
That's where people stop and they don't press play to keep
Mm.
watching what their movie could be.
Mm.
And that's where I just wanted to bring that. I'll end it there because, like you, girl, it's like, it just
Yeah.
come out.
Mm. Yeah, but there are a few things that came up for me. At first, I wanted just to be a little contradicted to what you and Aaron had shared about the ego. Um, and only because I have been going through the Fifth Agreement in a book club with Kellen Hagan. He's a practitioner at Agape. Really cool dude, but they've been going through this book called The Fifth Agreement. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz and his son. And
I got another one, the fourth and the fifth.
it's the four agreements and then there's the fifth
Oh, I want to
agreement.
read that one.
It's really good. And there's this part called the wake for the inner child. And it's
Mm.
like, I'll tell you
Yeah,
about it
put me
later.
on.
I'll tell you about it later. It's so good. Um, but the fifth agreement is essentially like doubt everything, question everything, be skeptical because what we know to be true, what we are like saying is true, the words that we're using to be like, this is true, this is the real thing, it's all just symbols and sounds.
Mhm.
But the truth comes when we are still and we sit in our beingness. And so when I hear that people would run amok because of the ego, part of me agrees with that. But then also during our conversation, Kellen said something really powerful um, about love and
Mhm.
how I think it was something in the book where it says like people have these different stages of love or like um, ways that they love. But he was saying, I don't see that as love. I just think that's a varying definition of like. You know, like people like you because you did like they like this red shirt. Somebody might say, I love this shirt, but they're like, I like this red shirt, right?
Mhm.
Or like, I love you, but they really just like you. right?
Mm.
Because love just is, it doesn't have to have a differentiation. It doesn't have to be like something specific. It just is. And so
Mm.
that's kind of the point that he was saying. And so when I hear that if people know they are God, then their ego will take control, that's not God. Because
Mm.
as we've been discussing, God is love, God is creation, God is embrace, right? And that's my truth. That's my knowing. Take it with however you want, right? Take what resonates,
Mhm.
leave what don't. Um, and so if again, if somebody is acting in that manner, that is still their humanity.
Mm.
That isn't God. Um, and a part of my journey, again, you'll read it in Days of Darkness.
Keep
I
plugging in, planting the seeds.
listen. It just comes up. You feel me? I'm not even like a big. Anyway, I'm not gonna try to explain myself. You'll read it, but during that season of my life in my early 20s, like I said, I kind of stepped away from the religion of God and I started to dive into my ego. And I did that intentionally. Well, I won't say intentionally, but deliberately, because I had been such a good girl, such a people pleaser, such a performer. And I hadn't really let that part of me come out and like show itself, even though it was kind of always like, hey, girl, maybe you just slam the door in their face instead of holding it. You know, like just like little things. Like maybe you just say this comment in your brain that, isn't the nicest thing instead of holding your tongue. And I let that part of me, the ego, very deep in the ego, had a terrible time. Led me into the depths of darkness that I would not wish on anybody. But that's what happens when your ego takes over. That's what happens when you recognize that what you're doing, again, back to Nora's comment about being Buddhist and what you're putting out, that's when you see, like, oh, I can create experiences by the words that I'm saying, by the things that I put out into the world. And it is like a power trip. And I mentioned this in my book how I did feel this strange sense of power, being able to be this like just nasty, rude person and still have people like want to chill with me or like tolerate me or like, it was weird. But that's the ego. That's the ego. That's the power that we have because we are God. And if we are choosing to act in that way, we're going to get the results that come back from that. You get what you create. That is the law. You get what you create. And so again, just kind of controversial to that or contradictory to the whole idea. Like, if everybody knew, then everybody would be acting that way. Um, I don't think that that's a real knowing of God. I think if people really understood, we removed all the conditioning, removed all these power trips, removed all of this hierarchy of like who God is and how there's like this up there and there's a beyond or whatever, and we can't grasp it or be it. If we remove all of those like labels that we put on God and really go into that foundation of creation, love, expansion, then people, the world would be unimaginably beautiful in my perspective.
Mm.
And there was something else I was gonna say, but I kind of went off. So yeah,
Let's read these comments. Nora says, for many, is God the highest form of power, but it has a wrong
connotation
connotation
of
of
power.
power.
Yeah, exactly.
Aaron says, my personal struggle was finding my place in the Christian community and the queer community. I found
Mm-hmm.
spirituality and self love was my journey to inner peace 2010 to 2024 and growing. I love that and I
Mm-hmm.
celebrate you. Girls Poetry says so true with lots of the things you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
The Four Agreements I have read, very
Very
nice.
good book. Yes.
Yes, I was people pleasing when I was young too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it says people pleasing as a sacrifice of personal boundaries to create a sense of safety. So
Mm-hmm.
true. Finding safety is saying no and respecting your personal boundaries, choosing to be kind instead of nice. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what really came through it, even when I think of like the ego, I love when it paused because we know not to talk because y'all ain't hearing nothing. So when it paused, we be back here like we strike a pose and then they come back on and we just like as if we never stop. Yeah, I know we gotta add some laughter into it, but with the ego, I think even with that, I'm learning to work with it and not against it.
Mhm.
Because the ego too is because being that everything, and we're talking about everything is God. That is, I would like to say, because God experiences itself through us, that is experiencing that part of us through us as well. So even with that, it isn't separate from God. It's just us with what it is that we, because the ego could either, what I want to say, the ego, it's a protector. It creates this
Mhm.
character to protect you from being harmed, being hurt, having
Having a
experiences,
mental breakdown.
having a breakdown. Like it
Mhm.
wants to protect you because it's
Mhm.
all the ego is created by the mind.
Mhm.
So that ego of wanting to use the power of knowing of who you are to condemn to right or wrong or good or bad. For me, I think of if I use my ego to support the knowing of who I am, knowing that I am this omnipresence, knowing that I
Mhm.
am love, knowing that I no, I am being love. What did you say? I like what you
My
said. My
beingness.
beingness is love. My
Mhm.
beingness is understanding. My beingness is kindness.
Mhm.
Then that's what the ego will now create in regards to the character that I
Mhm.
am.
And it helps reinforce
That
boundaries.
reinforces the boundaries because
Mhm.
now it's because everything in this 3D realm it has a polarity,
Mhm.
which we need so we could experience what we call good, what we call bad. So, because everything is one, there is no separation. But in this 3D realm, in order to experience love, I have to experience hate. Because
Mhm.
if I never experience hate, I wouldn't appreciate love. If I didn't
Mhm.
experience coldness, I wouldn't appreciate warmness.
Amen.
So that, so when I think of it in that realm, I can use the ego, and people can use their ego to embody the power that they hold within them in a way of their beingness, being the God that they are. So I just that came to mind because I was thinking like the ego isn't always this villain, and I think a
Mhm.
lot of times we villainize the ego, but it only becomes the villain when it's stuck in old experiences that you're still holding on to, that you're still feeling hurt by, affected by. So of course it's going to project out as wanting to hurt someone, judge someone, condemn someone, right or wrong someone because it wants to protect you in this image of you're always right. So if you always
Mhm.
right and someone tried to come and
Mhm.
challenge that, or the ego is like, okay, let's go in the files, let's see, I got this. Okay, boom, say
No,
this.
no, no,
Okay,
not
no, do this.
today.
So it's
Uh-huh.
cueing you to say,
Mhm.
to do it when you're
Be
not
defensive. Mhm.
in that space of connection with who you are, you're going to be controlled by it.
Mm.
You're going to be pulled into it. But when you know who you are, and the ego is now like, here's a way to embody love. Here's a way to share and be kind. Here
Mm.
is a way to be
Mhm.
understanding. Now you're working with it and it's not controlling you. So that just
Mhm.
came through.
Yeah, and just like Sharon was saying, it just shouldn't be in the driver's seat. And she said it as a question, or they, I'm not sure who or what you
Mm-hmm.
are, but identify as. But yeah, just not in the driver's seat. Like Raymell was saying, have it as, a co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Help them. They're like, oh, let's look at this over here. Let's like, oh, this destination's over here. Let's check
Mm-hmm.
that out, right? But when you're letting them know, letting the ego know, like, these are the things that I would like to experience. This is what I know myself to be. This is who I am. This is my beingness. It says, oh, okay. Well, let's go check out this. Let's go check out this. Let's go talk to
Mm-hmm.
that person. Nora said, when I was finding my spiritual place, I took part in kids' ceremonies only to hear how they teach kids to see themselves and how to act with their emotions and surroundings. One day, the told, oh, I feel like she's still writing that comment. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll TBH or TB continued on that one.
If I wouldn't
Yeah,
have experienced
Aaron says, yeah.
disrespect, I wouldn't know what true love from others and self
Hmm.
love for self is
Yeah.
exactly.
And I was actually thinking about this recently because we're talking about like the shedding and the things of that nature. Um, and I was reflecting on my friendship with someone who I've mentioned plenty of times here. Her name is Kelsey. Um, and I was realizing like that's something that I am being called to shed in this moment and shed with the greatest love, the greatest love, because our relationship taught me what real friendship is,
Mm,
taught me what real love is. And even like just thinking about it, it hits me in my heart space
mm,
because it was in a season of my life where I was accepting um, less than stellar, honestly, less than appropriate or respectable friendships and relationships. But she was such, and is, I'm sure her character is still very much the same. We just haven't talked in a while. But she's such a safe space and just no judgment, no expectations or like tension of like performing or like having to like be comparing or like underhanded, backhanded, shadiness. None of that at all. We can literally just sit and do nothing, or we can talk for 10 hours straight, and
mm,
anytime we reconnect, it's like this, like time folds. It's like we never have been apart. We've never stopped talking to each other. And the reason that, just to kind of explain, like, why are you shedding this? Well, I recognize just like the attachments to things from the past is one of those things that I'm letting die so I can be reborn, right?
mm,
And I recognize like our relationship was something that there's something that's very precious to me. And when I think of all the work that I have done over these years, I can simultaneously recognize that perhaps she has not invested that same amount of time and intention. And again, no
no
tea, no
judgment.
shade, no judgment. It's just an awareness. And I'm like, okay, so if there is a calling on me to continue to expand and to grow, and I'm being asked to release things that no longer align with that, that relationship falls under that, right?
Mm,
And this is something that will not affect because I'm growing in unconditional love, right? So I still love her. I
mm,
still will hold space for her. We'll still probably just chat it up for 10 hours the next time we talk, right? It's just knowing that our relationship isn't that same thing that it was because I'm not the same. Again, nothing against her, only love. Still consider her a good friend, right? It's just that dynamic is not the same. Like the space that I was in when I was going through that season of needing that person to be the example, I'm not there anymore because I've grown out of that.
mm.
But yeah, I just wanted
You
to
know, it
touch on
came through
that.
real quick.
Yeah.
You got some beautiful comments, but
Mm.
you know that expect of them to be or do or to contribute or to have and all the things, when we honor them, really honor them, then we don't expect anything from them. It's like if I'm honoring where you are and that you're having this human experience based on your own unique experience, then I can learn from you.
Mm.
If I'm truly being connected to the self that I know myself to be, then I won't need to project onto you what you should or shouldn't do or have these standards of how you should be or how you should be with me because my beingness creates the standard in regards to be love,
Mhm.
be open,
Mhm.
be kind, be fun, be joyful. Like that creates the standard that is not even a standard. It's just it's a just I don't know what the word is not coming right now, but you're not even creating a standard. You're just creating a bundle of like openness to just I'm open to just embrace where you are, who you are. So if you are what we would call being lazy or you're being mean or being this, how can I understand you? Because through the understanding, then I can see you past your actions.
Mhm.
And if I see you past your actions, then that's where I can love you, regardless of what your actions are. I'm embodying the God that lives within me. I'm embodying and expressing that presence that resides and lives in everyone. And that's where I'm able to embrace you.
Mhm.
And when I'm honoring you, then I don't expect because I like blue that you gotta like blue. And that you can't come to my party because you like red and I like blue. And if you look at it, we live in a world where they created this division, red and blue.
Ready.
And it's like, but okay, okay, IG, you've been on me today. Understand? You get me. You get me. But they've created this division, and that's where a lot of people bite the bait,
Mm.
and they're trying to choose a side. I've had that experience during the time of the pandemic. There was a lot of division based on that whole experience.
Mm.
And people felt like, well, you had to think this way, do it this way, and act this way. And if you don't, then you are over there. And it was unfortunate because that experience of that, though it was a great reset, though it was a great awakening, because so many conversations started to happen around the expansion realm, the healing realm, the spiritual realm. There was a lot of awareness that people are so locked into these beliefs, so locked into these identities that they will disown. Okay, okay, I did. But they would disown the people who they quote unquote love because they didn't meet the standard of what they expected them to do in regards to their choice of action that they expected them to take. And that brought a lot of awareness like, but if I choose to do this, the love isn't there. If I choose not to do this, then I'm no longer welcome. And that's where there was a lot of awareness where the conditional love was really what we thought the love was. So it wasn't unconditional because unconditional is embodying the God that you are. And I love you regardless, whatever your choices are, whatever your actions are, whatever your beliefs are, I love you. But that brought awareness to, oh, so if I only do dot, 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 then I can receive your love, then I can receive your acceptance, then I can be worthy to be in your presence. But if I don't, I got to go sit over there and you don't know me anymore, even though we quote unquote share the same blood. So it brought up a lot of awareness. So that just came up for me that I wanted to add on to what Sister Angelique spoke to.
Yeah, and just on that, I want to bring to the table how we can accept the actions people are taking and what they're doing and love them from a distance. We don't have to like
Be your ride or die while you're doing it.
yeah, we don't have to allow people to verbally, physically, mentally abuse us. We don't have to allow people to try to continue to like shrink us or put us down or belittle us. That is not what it means to just accept somebody's actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Accepting someone's actions, and this is again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. For me, accepting somebody's actions means accepting that they are choosing certain behaviors and just loving them, period. I don't have to continue to be in the atmosphere. I don't have to continue to be the receiver, excuse me, the receiver of the actions. I'm just accepting that these are the actions that they're taking. And I can again love them in that, through that, wherever they decide to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Nora says, we appreciate y'all with these comments
Yes,
today.
y'all. I knew this was going
Thank
to spark
you.
up a lot, so thank y'all for the engagement.
Yes, but to the relationships, Nora is saying, I had to learn that relationships sometimes are necessary meetings that you have to make to grow because every person comes with their own stages of development. Some
Mm-hmm.
came far and you take you with them, and take
Mm-hmm.
some came far and take you with them.
Mm-hmm.
She also continues, some aren't that far or didn't begin, but they are also there to teach me something about myself. One person was just there so I can learn if I am keeping my mouth shut or I'm keeping the peace. But yeah, how important do you think the role mother, friend, coworker connected to the expectations of that person?
Mm.
I would say prior to this journey, um, they were very important. And even in the beginning, it's a journey, right? It's a journey. It's work. Um, Constantly having to release the expectations that I learned to associate with roles. Like I was talking about with my mom, and I was like, oh, she's just a human person, just having a human experience. Yes, God, yes, sameness, right? She's just having her unique experience, right? And the same thing happened with work, honestly, with supervisors and coworkers, recognizing that, oh, I am somebody who I go into a job and I want to be excellent. I want to do my best, just like I did in school. You feel me? It's like kind of inner competitiveness. I like to be good at things. Um, but I recognize in work, just like I recognize in school, some people just do not care. They're just
Mm-hmm.
there because they feel like they have to be there. And I have had to learn, especially as I'm stepping into leadership roles, that not everybody is in that space of thinking that I am, right? And not expecting just because this person even like said on their resume or in an interview that they are going to do a certain thing, that if their actions are different, then accepting that their actions are different and not expecting them to be beyond that unless they start taking actions that are beyond that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'll just drop that in, I guess, if you want
Yeah,
to
I
ask a
think for
question.
me, how important do I think the roles that are connected to the mother, friend, coworker, what the awareness I have now, I don't attach to their labels because I feel like those are labels, mother, friend, coworker. And I just honor who their souls are,
Mm.
but aware of who this human that they've created themselves to be and how they're
Mm.
operating through that character. So,
Mm-hmm.
like with the mother role, once I took that title away from mother and saying Janice,
Mm.
I was able to understand her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this expectation because you are this mother that this is how you should be, what you should do, how we should be. And I was able to meet Janice, a soul that came here that experienced hurt, that experienced abandonment, that experienced neglect, that held on to those experiences, that didn't know how to work on them. So she passed them down to her children.
Mm.
And when I was able to see her through that lens, I was able to hold space for compassion, for understanding, to listen to her when she speaks and not expect her to say the right things for me to feel connected to her. And as I started to show up from that place, hey Laura, happy belated birthday. Show up and be in that space of openness, I realized that it bled into her. So she was able to, and it's a work in progress. We're definitely not like attached at the hip, but I'm able to stay on the phone longer with her. I'm able to embrace her and honor her and love on her because I took the expectations away of what I expected of her. And I feel like it shows the example of how I want her to show up with me in the interactions that we have. And I noticed that she is more attuned to listening when she's not in her own experience. She's able to listen more. She's able to ask more questions through curiosity. So I noticed when I took away that label, that role, that title, I was able to have a soul to soul connection. And when you have that soul to soul connection, now you're able to really, because we've all had our own form of hurt, our own our own form of pain, our own form of trauma and trials that we've been through. Hey, Priscilla, we've all experienced that. And for me to think that my experience is any more greater or any less than, or whatever the judgment I may have to someone else's, it keeps me disconnected from the truth that everyone is just doing their best. And I think we expect that best to look a certain way. So if you're not in the self development, if you're not in the programs, if you're not in the coaching, you're not doing your best. But some people just waking up is doing their best. Someone just getting out of bed is doing, and it makes me like I'm tapping into that oneness field, and I feel that compassion for those because when you're in that dark place, in that disconnected space, every day is a struggle. And when you're in that elevated place, you start to see life is beautiful. Life is good. But just because that's the lens in which I'm seeing life through, who am I to expect you to see it through that same lens or see it in that same way? Though that is my truth. And when you really open yourself up, you can see all the beauty that surrounds you and everyone, everything, because everything is you and it's an extension. But who am I to expect or judge or belittle or condemn someone else's best? So when I was able to release the role attachment, the label attachment, and just see a soul, I'm like, you are doing the best that you can. And that's where I don't want to do anything but love on them. Whether it's my mother, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker, I'm able to see the soul, feel the heart, be the love, and that's where all of those other things are irrelevant. So I hope that that was powerful. That was powerful. That was what came up for me is that is being God. Like again, just back to this idea of God being like a judger or a condemner or anything. That's not it. God is love. I went on this like retreat situation in high school called Kairos. And it was basically like Kairos means time. It was about spending time with God. And we got these buttons. It was lots of tears, lots of vulnerability. It was a beautiful experience. Honestly, I feel like more high schools should have retreats for their young people. In any case, um, they gave us these buttons that said, "God don't make junk. God doesn't make mistakes. God creates everything in and out of love." And so when we can look at each other from a soul space, from a God space, we see like, oh, I love you. I have compassion for you. I see you. You are doing your best and I celebrate you. I'm grateful that you are a part of my creation.
that I am experiencing you. I'm experiencing me through and as you, and it feels, I wish there was a way to really articulate the sensation in the physical vessel that takes place when you feel that love, when you can really like look around, like there's other people in this library, just like looking
That's
at
all
these
that
people and just
matters.
being like, they're all doing their best.
Mhm.
They're all doing their best. They're all expressions of the divine and just beautiful
And it brings
things.
this feeling within you.
Yeah,
Like you can't even
yeah,
describe, but it's like this, just like, because I'm sure you felt it
yeah,
too. Like
yeah.
as I did that, I just felt this like super connection. It's what I got.
Hmm.
If I had to express it, I was like super connected to
Hmm.
everything and everyone, even the people at the park playing with the
Yes.
kids.
And that's something like living in a big city. And I've lived in a lot of different places from like very rural, like the neighbor is a mile away, to here in Los Angeles, downtown, where everybody's on top of each other.
Hmm.
And the thing that I really enjoy about being on this journey at the point that I am now and being in a city as dense as Los Angeles is how much that is like just in my face, like all the different people. And presently, I am living in the Skid Row area, and just I have gone through those streets sometimes and just been in this space of like, this person is doing their best,
Hmm.
and just like just pouring out my heart. It's just like pouring out like this energy, this vibrancy, this radiance. And it's like, okay, sure, this guy is shouting on the corner for a crack fight, right? He's doing his best. He's doing his best. Sure, this person is over here shooting up in the corner, but they're doing their best, right? Like this person is digging through the trash, trying to get food or whatever. They're doing their best, and it really creates a connectedness because it brings back like an innocence for the self. It's just like, I'm doing my best.
Hmm.
Like this expression that I am consciously choosing to be in this form of Angelique is doing its best. And so, like, again, just when you can look out into the world and just really, truly acknowledge that people are doing their best, all of these individual expressions are doing their best, you reflect back to yourself that same energy of love and compassion and understanding. And for me, what's coming through right now is like that's how you really allow yourself to expand and
Mm.
reach those levels that you have when you have those daydreams or those imaginings or those hits of inspiration. It's like, oh, this is the openness, this is the expansion, this is the awareness that allows me to step into that. Because if I'm doing my best and I have this idea of something that is greater than where I am, I can fully get there. I can fully be that now. I can fully embrace and embody that now and live in it now, step in it now, because I'm doing my best.
Mm. And with that, you can't fail.
Yeah.
You only could become aware of your capabilities and abilities through doing your best and
Mm.
being open and allowing life to express through you, because that's what it's really is. Whenever you get that idea, whenever you get that pull, that nudge, life is getting your attention because like I got something I want to express through you. God is like, I want to experience this through you, create this.
Mhm.
I want to experience this through you, relate to this, connect to this. Like that's how God expresses itself through us. It's through those images, through those pulls, through those nudges to go to the store.
Mhm.
Because I don't know why I want to go to the store and you see someone. It's like I want to experience love through you.
Mhm.
I want to experience anger through you. I want to experience fear through you
Mhm.
because it's not who you are, it's passing through you.
Mhm.
And I think when we release attachment to or release attachment in general, and we just allow ourselves to be open, then that's where we're just in flow.
Mhm.
Life is like a river, it's always flowing. But then we create these rocks of beliefs that keeps us stuck in what we believe. And as long as you're stuck in a belief, you can't expand.
Mm.
You can't grow because you close yourself off from being that expression. And now you're saying, this is what I'm settling in, this is what I'm stuck in. And that's what life will continue because it's an infinite, abundant, limitless universe. I'll give you abundance of worry.
Mm.
I'll give you abundance of fear. I'll give you abundance of love to be expressed through you. I'll give you abundance of prosperity to be expressed. We are such powerful beings, but we often are unaware of it. And we keep ourselves disconnected from it because of the limitations, like Aaron was saying, that we have to allow it to shut off and die off so we can just be openness and be that blank canvas. I invite you all each day start off as a blank canvas.
Mm.
I know nothing. Okay? You see, they when I say that thing that sticks, they like, I gotta give them a thumbs up. But when you start off, I know nothing, then
Mm.
you open yourself up to learn from everyone and everything.
Mm.
It's not about reading a book all the time. It's not about listening to a podcast all the time. It's not about tuning into a live all the time. It's through experiences where we learn.
Mm.
It's through experiences and those practices that you do daily allow you to show up in the experience with an open heart, with an open mind, being an open vessel to allow life to express through you. And that's how you're able to connect to the souls and you're not stuck in this flesh of expectations,
Mm.
of separation, of limitations that are created by you because that's who you attach to.
Mm.
All right, y'all. This I knew it was gonna be juicy.
Yeah,
I
I'm
knew it.
complete.
I knew this was gonna be a juicy combo. Hey Shay, happy Saturday. Y'all, this I knew. I thank you all because there
Yes,
was
thank
some
you for
fear.
allowing
Like when I thought about this, like I was like, that's what Sister Angelique was like. Let me get this baton and start this race because you over here stalling.
Let me start swallowing the water.
Let me start it, but I thank you because there was that like kind of like built up, like oh my god, because I knew it was gonna open up a lot, but I knew that it was gonna support me a lot because me having this conversation today, it's built that momentum to want to keep it alive, but embodying the oneness that we are all connected to. So
Mm.
I thank you all so very much, Nora, Aaron,
Yes. Helen, if you're still out
Helen. Who
here.
else? We had the girl poet,
Sharon.
Sharon, and
Yes.
here, girls poetry land. Like all of y'all, we love y'all. We
Yes.
thank y'all. Y'all like
And next time, if you want to hop up, send a request.
come in. We here, but be who you truly are.
Be God.
Be God, because that's the truth of self. We love y'all. We thank y'all. We see y'all later. Let's do the high tights. There we
Yes.
go. Bye, y'all. Love y'all. Oh my
Ah,
goodness.
I feel so overflowing right now. Like I just want to like stop and cry and laugh and hug. Like ah.
Because I knew this was gonna do that,
Ooh, hold
yo.
on, bye,
Are we still
y'all.
on? I knew it was gonna do